Hi, I'm Natalie Thompson, and I'm the host of The Human Side of Scale. So, firstly, thank you so much for being here. And if you found this channel after watching one of the conversations, I thought I would take a couple of minutes to introduce myself and explain why I created this podcast. So, for the last 30 years, I've worked in the software industry. I started my career in enterprise software sales before building a global executive search business where, for the last 17 years, I've helped software companies around the world hire exceptional leaders and build high performing teams. But over the last 6 years, another passion has become a huge part of my life. I am a breathwork facilitator and liberation coach, and I work with founders, CEOs, and leaders around the nervous system, stress, beliefs, and the patterns that shape the way we lead and experience the world. And that came from my own personal journey, because for many years, my nervous system lived in survival mode. So from the outside, life looked successful, but inside there was anxiety, overthinking, constant pressure, and a feeling that I always had to be doing more. So learning to regulate my nervous system and clear out that survival energy actually changed my life. And since then, I've worked with well over 1,000 people on retreats, workshops, and coaching, helping them move from surviving into living with greater clarity, presence, and freedom. And what surprised me is how naturally these two things have come together. So, on one hand, I've spent years interviewing senior leaders for roles. And then on the other hand, I was having incredibly honest conversations with people about what was happening beneath the surface. And I realized something, that no matter how successful someone appears to be, they are still human. And behind the growth, the funding rounds, the promotions, and the headlines, people are carrying an enormous responsibility. People who sometimes wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning worrying, people who question themselves, people who experience fear of failure, imposter syndrome, self-doubt, pressure, loneliness. And the problem is that we're rarely talking about these things. We celebrate the success, but we don't often talk about what it costs. And I don't think we are helping each other by pretending everything is easy and polished and perfect. And some of the most courageous conversations I've ever had have been about failure, uncertainty, anxiety, burnout, and the moments when people genuinely didn't know what to do next. And, those conversations don't make people look weaker, they make them more human. And I truly believe that when one person has the courage to tell the truth about their journey, it gives someone else permission to stop pretending to people that they're okay if they're not, which is why I created The Human Side of Scale. I wanted to understand what shaped people, what challenged them, what they learned, how they navigated their hardest moments, and who they became because of them. Because I genuinely believe that that's where the wisdom is. And it's those conversations that inspire us. It's those conversations that remind us that we're not alone. And it's those conversations that help elevate us. And one thing you'll probably notice about this channel is I don't believe that we're supposed to squeeze ourselves into one box. Yes, I recruit. Yes, I coach. I love talking about leadership, business, human potential. And I also really enjoy comedy. And a few years back, I did quite a few sketches on LinkedIn, which people always seem to say that they really enjoyed them. They pushed the envelope a little bit. But I think that's really funny. I think it's really funny to have, to make fun a little bit of the corporate world. So don't be surprised if amongst the conversations with CEOs and founders, you stumble across the occasional comedy sketch, probably involving a questionable wig. I love a wig, because I do think that laughter is part of being human too. So my hope is that this channel leaves you thinking differently, feeling inspired, learning something new, and every now and then simply making you smile. So thank you for being here. I genuinely hope that you enjoy the conversations, and welcome to The Human Side of Scale.